Hello viewers, welcome to Kids Auto and Truck Repair. Today we have a Toyota Sienna. I don't know what year the Sienna is, so we will figure that out in a little bit. The complaint on this vehicle is the air conditioning does not work. Now, this customer came to us for the first time, so she's a new customer. She heard about us. One of our customers here told her about us, and she brought her vehicle to us so that we can fix it for her. Now, she told me that this vehicle was already at another shop. The other shop recommended replacing the AC compressor. So maybe the AC compressor is bad, maybe it's not. So she's paying for our diagnosis so we can figure out if the issue is exactly the AC compressor. And if the AC compressor is bad, then we're gonna go ahead and replace it. But we're not just gonna replace the AC compressor. We have to do some tests first to figure out if she really needs an AC compressor. Now, before we go in the vehicle and confirm the customer's complaint, I wanna give a shout out to our cameraman Kyler. Thanks for being here. So now, let's walk up to the vehicle and see what we're gonna find. So if cameraman Kyler can come inside the vehicle with me, I'm going to start the engine. Okay, so I have my thermometer here with me. I am going to turn on the AC. The engine is running right now. I hope you guys can hear it. There is a maintenance required light on the dash. And this vehicle has 93,000 miles, 056. Okay, so this vehicle doesn't have a lot of miles. It only has 93,000 miles. So let's see. AC is on. I can feel the air blowing out of these vents. The outside temperature is 73 degrees right now. So I'm gonna use my thermometer. We're gonna measure the temperature of the air that's coming out of these vents. So cameraman Kyler is going to show you the number that we have on the thermometer. So what's the number? 90 degrees, 90.5 degrees. Wow. What about this vent over here? 95 degrees. Whoa. The AC is on right now. So cameraman Kyler, if you can show these buttons here. Hold on. Yeah, so can you see that there? You might have to come in the car, you see? Right there. AC on. Okay. So we are down to max cold. AC is on, max cold. Okay. So the front AC should be working right now. Let's take the temperature of the air of the vents. Okay, so the AC is on. The air that's coming out of the vents is hot. Actually, it's a little bit hotter than the outside temperature right now. Okay. All right, so that's customer's complaint confirmed. The AC is not working. Now, how are we gonna go about figuring this out? There are a lot of things that can cause the AC not to work. We could have low refrigerant in the AC system. The AC compressor could be defective. We could have a wiring problem on the electrical side of the air conditioning system. Now, on these Toyota Siennas, most of them have two evaporators. There is one in the front and there's another one in the back. I've seen the back ones leak refrigerant, and as the refrigerant leaks out of the system, it causes the AC to stop working. Now, since this vehicle only has 93,000 miles, I mean, I would really be surprised if there's a leak somewhere. Since this is a Toyota, I mean, you never know, but Toyotas usually don't have AC system leaks under 100,000 miles. So I could be wrong. Or we could just have a bad AC compressor like the other shop suggested. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drive up to the shop. Let's stay low tech first. I'm gonna check the refrigerant in the system. Let's see if we have enough AC refrigerant in the system. If we do have enough AC refrigerant in the system, then I'm gonna connect the scan tool to the vehicle to see if we have a code. If we don't have a code, then we're gonna go to the AC compressor to see if the compressor is getting power and ground to turn on. So now, I'm gonna drive up to the shop and then I'll bring you guys back up. I'm going to open the hood. Let's put our light here. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to turn on my AC machine. We're gonna power up our AC machine. Now, the system could be empty. We could have low refrigerant in the system. If your AC system is low, the AC is not gonna work properly. If you have too much refrigerant in the system is not gonna work properly either. So you have to make sure you have the correct amount of refrigerant in the system. I've seen people go to the local parts store and buy a can of refrigerant and charge it themselves. Usually what happens is they put too much refrigerant in the system and they cause problems. So I hope that's not what happened here. We'll find out. So if your AC is not working, I recommend you take it to a shop. Don't try to go get a couple cans from the store and add it, because unless you really know what you're doing, you can damage stuff doing it that way. So we're gonna turn on our machine. Now we have our service ports here. Cameraman Kyler, if you can show these. So we have this here, we have the low side and high side. So I'm gonna grab my service ports from the AC machine. Now as our machine is powering up, if you look at the gauges over here on the machine, both of our gauges are at 0. Actually this one, the low side is below 0, but the high side is at the 0. So we don't have pressure on these lines. When I connect these service lines to the system, if we have refrigerant in the AC system of the vehicle, these gauges will go up. So they're gonna read the pressure in the system. All right, so while this is setting up, we're gonna connect our service ports to the system. I'm gonna undo this little cap over here. The other thing I wanna mention is, if you are looking at your AC system, if these caps are missing, that's a problem. You have to make sure you always have these caps on. So this one has it, so that's good. If you, because I've had vehicles come in the shop with missing caps. If you have missing caps, your refrigerant can leak out of the opening here, and over time, your AC can stop working. Okay, so we got this connected. I'm gonna turn on the knob. I could hear refrigerant flowing through. So now let's see this gauge over here. You see how our gauge went up? So this tells me that there's refrigerant in the system. So our AC system is not leaking. Because if the system was leaking, this gauge was gonna be stuck at 0. The fact that the gauge went, it means our system is holding refrigerant. So that's a good thing already. We're most likely not dealing with a leak here. Now I'm gonna connect the low side to the system right here. Okay, I heard the refrigerant. All right, now the thing is, the fact that we have refrigerant in the system does not mean we have the correct amount of refrigerant. So I don't know how much refrigerant we have in the system. What I'm gonna do now is, like I said, we're gonna stay low tech first. I'm gonna recover the entire refrigerant that we have in the system, and then I'm gonna charge it up to the correct amount, and then we're gonna continue our testing after that point. Now, this vehicle takes the R134A refrigerant. It's not the new refrigerant. So we should be good, because that's what our machine does. So cameraman Kyler, if you can show what I'm about to do here. So as you can see, the other thing you want to do, or you want to look at, is when you connect your service lines to the system, both systems have to show the same pressure. You see we're showing about 80 degrees on the low side and also 80 degrees on the high side, so that's good. Because when the system is off, you should have the same pressure on both sides. So this shows me that there is not a restriction in the system, because if you had a restriction in the system, one side will be higher than the other. So that's good. So now we're going to recover the system. So we're going to click on recover. This is going to suck all the refrigerant out of the system. Okay, so now at this point, we're gonna let the machine do its thing. The AC machine is going to recover the entire system. And then after the machine finishes recovering the system, I will bring you guys back up. I don't wanna have you guys sit here and see how the machine is gonna recover the system. It's gonna take about 5 or 10 minutes. All right, so it's been a couple minutes. So the machine is done recovering the refrigerant from the system. Look at how much refrigerant we got out of the system. 1.027. So 1 pound of refrigerant came out of the system. The fact that the system is holding 1 pound of refrigerant tells me there's no leaks. Now, I did look up the spec for this vehicle. The spec is 172 pounds. So the system is low by about half a pound or 0.7 pound, but it should have worked a little bit. The fact that there's 1 pound in the system, our problem is most likely elsewhere. It's not just the refrigerant. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to charge it. So cameraman Kyler, if we can show here. So we took 1.027. So now we're gonna charge the system to 1.72. So we're gonna charge it up to the correct amount. So we're gonna vacuum the system first. I'm just gonna do 5 minutes, and then we're also gonna do a leak test. Now, some people like to vacuum the system for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but I'm just gonna do it for 5 minutes. 5 minutes is good. We're gonna turn on our leak test, and then we're gonna vacuum the system. We're gonna let this, we're gonna let the scan tool, we're gonna let the machine vacuum the system, and then when it's done, I will bring you guys back up. So the AC machine is done vacuuming the system. It has passed the leak test. As you can see, it says leak test passed. So now we can charge the system. So we're gonna put 1.72 pounds in the system. That's the spec. So 0.172 pound. And then when I charge the system, I always like to put 1 ounce of refrigerant oil in the system. Now the oil we're gonna put in is dyed. Actually, Kyler, can you show this bottle here? This is dyed refrigerant oil. As you can see, it looks green. So if there's a leak somewhere, that oil is gonna leak where the leak is, and it's gonna be able it's gonna allow us to see the leak easily. Okay, so we're gonna charge this on both sides, high side and low side. Okay, so we got everything set up. So now we're gonna charge the system. Look at our gauges. Our gauges are showing 0 right now because the system is empty. When we charge it, our gauges will go up. So watch this. Now the machine is gonna send oil first, and then it's gonna send refrigerant. You see it's saying injecting oil. And we don't wanna touch this while it's doing this. We don't wanna touch the machine. There. See how our gauges went up? So now we're charging the system. Okay, so we don't have to sit here and show you how the system is being charged. I'm gonna bring you guys back up once the machine finishes charging the system. All right, so the machine is almost done charging the system. Right now the machine is asking me to disconnect the high side service hose. So we're gonna disconnect this red one. Okay, we're gonna install the cap. So at this point, we're gonna follow the instructions on the machine. So it says disconnect high side service hose, connect low side service hose, and start AC max. So we're gonna go in the vehicle and start the engine. We're gonna turn on the AC. We're gonna set it up to the maximum setting. Okay, so let's turn on the AC. AC on. I set it up to the maximum. Okay. Now, let's follow the instructions on the machine. Okay, so we're gonna wait. It says equalizing hoses. Eventually it's gonna tell us to disconnect the low side hose. Right there. Close coupler valve and disconnect service hoses from vehicle. Nice. So we're gonna disconnect this, just like that. We got some fresh refrigerant in the system. So now what we know so far is the system has got the correct amount of refrigerant in it. So we're done with this. Let's wait until the gauges come down, and then we're gonna get our machine out of the way. Okay, so we put the correct amount of refrigerant in the system. Now let's go in the vehicle to see if the AC is now working. What do you think, Kyler? No, it's not working. Okay, so we got refrigerant in the system, but the AC is still not working. The AC is still not working. So look, the air that's coming out of the vents has a temperature of 81.5 degrees. Yeah. All right. So here's what we know so far. The refrigerant is not our problem. We have the correct amount of refrigerant in the system. The AC is still not working. So now, what are we gonna do? How would you go about this at this point? So here's what I'm gonna do now. Now I'm going to connect the scan tool to the vehicle. Let's scan the engine computer and the HVAC module. I don't know if this has a HVAC control unit. If it does have one, let's scan it to see if we have a code in the HVAC, in the air conditioning control unit. So I'm gonna grab the scan tool, I will get it connected to the vehicle, and then I'll bring you guys back up. I have connected the scan tool to the vehicle. I'm gonna turn the key on. So let's see what we got. So cameraman Kyler will put this up so you guys can see what I'm looking at here. So we know our system is holding refrigerant. We have enough refrigerant in the system right now. So the AC should be working. It's AC season, guys. It's starting to get really hot. Cameraman Kyler, this is gonna be your first summer here. We don't have AC in the shop. So maybe in our next shop, hopefully you guys will help us get a better shop soon. Hopefully we will have AC in the next shop. This shop doesn't have AC, and it's brutal in the summer. It's miserable, especially on those 90-degree days. Oh. All right, scan tool has identified the vehicle. I don't know if I said the year of this car. This is a 2013 Toyota Sienna with a 3.5 liter. So let's click OK. Let's do a code scan. Let's scan all the control units on the vehicle and see what we got. So no codes in the engine computer. Oh, actually we have a history code in the engine computer. P1604, start ability malfunction. Interesting. So this code is not current, but it's in the history. Oh, we have one code in the heating and air conditioning control unit, so HVAC control unit. The code we have is B1479, flow sensor circuit. I'm not really familiar with this code. What's the flow sensor circuit? Because this code could be causing the AC to not work. So it's a history code. It's not a pending. It's not a current code. So let's wait for the scan tool to finish scanning all the control units. I'm gonna look up this code and see the description about it. So let's wait. All right, cool. So now let's scroll down and see what we got. So no current codes in the engine computer, but we have one history code. No codes in these control units, so that's good. We have one code in the HVAC control unit, but it's a history code, B1479 flow sensor circuit. And then we have one code in the blind spot monitor slave left, C1AB5, open in our mirror indicator. Interesting. And then we have no codes on the generic side of the tool. All right. So now, since it's the AC that's not working, I'm going to focus on the HVAC control unit. So I'm going to click there. Let's go into the HVAC control unit. Let's read the codes, current codes, no codes. Let's go to history codes. We have one history code, B1479. Now, let's look up this code. Let's go to service info. Because if we have a pressure sensor in the AC system that's not working, that can prevent the AC compressor from turning on. So let's look up this code and see what we got. Okay, so this is a XLE. This is all-wheel drive. So we're going to, let's look up the code. I think it was B1479. So code B1479. Oh, check this out. B1479 air conditioning compressor, air conditioning expansion valve. Let's click on this one. Let's go to top repairs. So this code can be caused by a defective compressor, replaced air conditioning compressor, replaced air conditioning compressor kit. Interesting. Let's go to causes and fixes. Air conditioning compressor, air conditioning compressor. Okay, I guess this is why the other shop recommended replacing a compressor. Let's go to specifications. Okay, so not there. Let's go to OEM testing. So at this point, I am familiarizing myself with this code. So let's read the code description. So DTC B1479. Let me double check it. Let's make sure that's our code. So B1479, so that's it. So the code description says the flow sensor is built into the compressor and outputs a signal indicating the flow rate of the refrigerant. The air conditioning amplifier converts the received signal to refrigerant flow rate data according to the characteristics of the sensor, which it then sends to the ECM via CAN communication. Okay, so this is pretty self-explanatory. So it could be that sensor that's part of the AC compressor that's failing. And then DTC detection condition, the ignition switch is on, the AC is on, and the flow sensor circuit has an open or short circuit. The ignition switch is on and the flow sensor is stuck. So that flow sensor could be stuck, or it could be open, causing an open in the circuit, or we could have a wiring issue. So at this point, testing this would be going to the compressor and back probing the wires of the sensor to see if we have control at the sensor. If we have control at the sensor, then the issue would be the sensor in the compressor. I believe we probably not going to be able to get the sensor by itself. We will have to replace the compressor. So trouble area, it says flow sensor, compressor and pulley, and then harness and connector between flow sensor and air conditioning amplifier. Okay, it's good to know. This is the wiring here. This is the flow sensor. I believe this over here is on the air condition on the AC compressor, and then air conditioning amplifier. Now, knowing that this vehicle only has 93,000 miles, I don't think we're going to have a wiring issue here. Now, these are the tests we can do. So we can connect to the wires at the sensor. These are the voltage values that we're supposed to have. We can do a resistance test of the sensor. We have our specifications here. Okay, so it looks like pretty standard. Now let's see, let's go to guided component test. Okay, so if you guys want to read about the operation and everything, you can pause this and read about this stuff. And sometimes that's what diagnosis is all about. Sometimes diagnosis is all about reading and figuring out descriptions and operation theories, and then doing the test. So we have some waveforms here we can analyze. Oh, okay, so here is the signature waveform that we're supposed to see when we back probe the wires at the AC compressor solenoid. Okay, so we should see a pulse width modulated control at the AC compressor solenoid. Okay, that's good to know. Component connector. This is how the connector looks like. It looks like it's a 4-wire connector. We actually have a couple connectors here. And then component location. Okay, that's gonna be easy to find. Okay, once again, if you guys want to know about how this works, you can pause this and read this. So I'm not gonna bore you with all this literature here. Wiring. Okay, so pretty straightforward. So the control unit, the HVAC control unit controls the solenoid and that sensor on the AC compressor to turn the AC compressor on and off. Okay, so now here's what we're gonna do. Let's go under the hood and access the solenoid on the AC compressor. And then all the wires that we have at the AC compressor, I'm gonna back probe all of them. We're gonna scope all the wires of the AC compressor to see what kind of controls we have at the AC compressor. If we have good control, if we have our pulse width modulated control going to the compressor valve or solenoid, I mean, some people call it valve or solenoid, it's the same thing. If the valve is being controlled, then at that point I will feel comfortable replacing the AC compressor since it's holding refrigerant. So let's go under the hood and do some tests. I'm gonna go in the vehicle and start the engine. We're gonna turn on the AC to see if we have control at the AC compressor. If the AC compressor is receiving the control, then at that point we're gonna feel comfortable replacing the AC compressor. So it's starting to look like what the other shop said. They were right. So we're just confirming what they said. So since the owner wanted a second opinion, so we're gonna give them a second opinion. But it looks like our opinion will be the same as the other shop. Now, since we have 3 wires at the AC compressor, we're going to use our 8-channel scope because we're gonna need 5 channels. So we're gonna use our ATS scope. We have our scope grounded at the battery. I'm sure my man Bernie Thompson is gonna like that. So the first 3 channels will be on the valve that has 3 wires, and then the last 2 wires will be on the valve that has 2 wires. So let's go to meter first. As you can see, actually the yellow one is not making good connection. Let's double check the yellow one. Yeah, so right there.
Okay, so our first, I mean, I have to be careful because my test leads are next to the fan, so I don't want to damage any of my leads. We don't have to run this for too long. So our first 5 channels are making connection. So we're gonna go to deep record. We're gonna turn on our first 5 channels. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just gonna lower my voltages down to 20 volts here. All right. So now I'm gonna go in the vehicle and turn the key on first. Let's see what we're gonna have with the key on. So key on, engine off. Let's see what we got. Okay, it looks like key on, engine off. We have voltage on the green trace and the yellow trace. The other traces are at 0. So the fact that we have voltage on the green trace and yellow trace, this tells me that the wiring is good. Now let's start the engine, and then I'm going to turn on the AC. Let's see if we have any control there. So as you can hear, the engine is running. I'm going to turn on the air conditioning. Okay, AC is on. Now let's see what we have on the scan tool. Okay. So our control is there. I'm going to rev up the engine. All right, so I'm going to save the capture. Based on what I see on the scan, on the lab scope, the wiring is good. Let me look at the air conditioning wiring diagram. So wiring is fine. Let's go to air conditioning. I'm gonna find my AC compressor pressure sensor. Okay, so it's actually the what's this going to do? It's the AC amplifier assembly that controls the AC compressor. Okay, so the fact that we had voltage on these wires with the key on, engine off, this tells me that the wiring of the compressor is good. So the issue is a bad AC compressor. At this point, with the data that I see on the scan tool, I feel comfortable condemning the AC compressor because I can zoom into this. see, let me grab a zoom window here. Yeah, so we definitely have power going to the AC compressor. Now I'm trying to find the other solenoid that we have on the compressor, the 2-wire solenoid. Where is it? Because I want to figure out where those wires come from. All right, anyways, enough checking, we're good. I feel comfortable condemning the AC compressor. We're good here. You know, the other shop was right, so I'm gonna call the customer and tell the customer that she needs an AC compressor. I'm gonna make an estimate for the AC compressor replacement plus our diagnosis fee, and then hopefully she approves our estimate. Once we get the job approved, I will bring you guys back up so we can get this AC compressor replaced. So this is probably going to be part 1, right, cameraman Kyler? So this will be part 1. Be on the lookout for part 2. I hope you like the video. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumb down. But if you do, tell us why so we can make better videos in the future. If you have any comments, questions, criticism, leave them in the comment box. Cameraman Kyler, thanks for being here. See you guys next time.